Hello everyone. I hope everything is great. So today we will learn about the CSS positions, how we can use the positions in the CSS, and by use of these position how we can set the elements in a HTML page. So let's start without wasting time. Here I just create the one HTML page and one CSS file, and I link this CSS in the head section with the link tag, and I open this HTML page here. So I quickly add the heading. First, we will discuss what are the positions. So, by use of positions CSS property, we can set or we can customize how the elements are positioned in HTML page. So, we can say by CSS positions property, we can set the we can check or we can set the elements, or we can check how elements are positioned in HTML page. So we can say after applying these positions, we can set or we can set the flow of the elements. So what is the meaning of setting the elements position in HTML page? Let's discuss first that. So like I add these two elements here. One is the heading element and one is the paragraph element. So by default, these elements have the display property block. So this element have the complete width of this page, and again this paragraph element take the complete width of the page. And how these position? First H2 element will be positioned, then next to the paragraph element, and same way if we have other paragraph elements, we set these elements one by one. If any element does not have the display property block, let's assume the span, or we can manually change the display property of an element, then those elements like first element come here, then second one here, third one here, as these words are positioned in the page. We can customize this flow in HTML by use of this position property. Here we have multiple positions available in CSS, and also some other properties that are worked with the position property. So let's discuss one by one. Following, okay, so I add here one ordered list, maybe, or we can say unordered list, and inside that I add the li. So first, for defining the positions, we have the property name position, okay, and position have these type of possible values. First is the static, then relative, then absolute, then fixed, and it have sticky. So these are the possible values of position property where static is the default one. So this position which flow the normal flow, first H2 element, then paragraph, next UL, ordered list. So this flow is called the static flow, and we not required to specify any positions for this. It every element have this in default. Next we have the property top, bottom, left, and right. So these are the offset properties that are used with the position property and set the offset from the top, bottom, left, and right of the page. And the last property, which is the clip property, we will discuss this property in this video. Okay, uh, I add this B character here. Yes, so these are the properties we discussed today. So let's start one by one. First is the static. So static means it is the default position. It is basically the default position, right? And we don't need to specify this position. By default, it all the element have the static property. Let's assume I create here few div and add some text here. I quickly copy this and paste 4 times and change the text accordingly. 3, 2. I add the class here and give one class box. Copy this class as well and paste here. So currently these 4 boxes are shown here, but no CSS as we does not create any CSS regard to this box class. Let me add here div with class box. First I change the display property from block to inline block. I give the width here. Let me give 100 pixel as well as height 100 pixel. I give the border property 1 pixel solid and default is the black color. Let me save this, refresh, and you can see this these boxes are created. Instead of giving 100, let me give it to 50 pixel. I give the text align center, so the text are center, and I add the background color property. Let me add this color. See, so this is the default position where every element positioned according to the normal flow. After one element position, if there is space available, second element comes and third and fourth this way. If the element have display block, then it take the complete width of the page. as the paragraph and the default div. I customizely add the display property to inline flow so that these divs are come in a single line. Okay, so this is the default. Let's come to the relative one. So the element follow the normal flow, but we can set the offset by use of the top, bottom, left and right properties. In static position, we can't do this. If we give this, there is no effect in the CSS. But we can give these offset in the position relative. What I did, I copy all these divs from here, paste here, save this and refresh. You can see these four divs are positioned here. What I did here, I give extra class 2 and in CSS I add one specification and here I give the position for this second div that have the two label position relative. If I save this, refresh, nothing will be happen, but now we can give the offset. Let me give the top 10 pixel and from left I give 10 pixel. You can see my element have the normal flow, even the space for this element is reserved in the flow, but now I can give the offset. So now my element is positioned 10 pixel from top and 10 pixel from the left. So this way you can position in the default flow and element, right, by using these offsets. Let's discuss the third position, which is the absolute. So this position property basically does not flow the normal document flow. So we can say the element is removed from the normal flow and how the element positioned, and there is no space added for this. Means my element does not position in the normal flow and there is no reserved space added for this type of position. How this element is positioned now? This element is positioned on the basis of nearest ancestor that have the position set other than the static. So we can say it is positioned relative to its closest positioned ancestor. So if any of the parent element of this element have position set, then this element is positioned relative to that. If no parent element have the position property, then it goes to tell the body element of the page, and then it positioned with relative to the body element. For this, let's add one div element which have the class container, and inside this I have the div with class box. Okay, and I give here some dummy text. Okay, and for this container class, what I did, I give the width, let me zoom 300 pixel, height 300 pixel, border 1 pixel, solid. So by default, this both div have the position static and they sit this way. But let me add another class here, which is the absolute class. So div with the absolute class, what can I give? I give the position absolute. Refresh, nothing change will happen. Let me add the offset top 0 and from right 0. So if I refresh this page now, you can see this box disappear from here, and if I check where this box, okay, this box positioned here because my parent div, which is the div container, does not set any position. It have the default static position. So this box will go to the, or we can say this box position according to the body element. It sets top 0 and from right 0. If I add the position relative to the container div, then what happens? This element position relative to this container div element. We can give some value here. Okay, 10. So this element position according to the container from top 10 pixel, from right 10 pixel. One hack is here. If I define left 10 pixel as well, so what happens? Even if I give this before right, all time this left wins. So when the left and right both are the specified offset, then the left wins, and if top and bottom both specified, then always top wins against to the bottom property. So you need to remember this. We can also align this element as the center. Uh, Let me give top 50%. Okay, left 50%, and here we can use the transform property and give the translate. minus 50%. Okay, and comma minus 50%. You can see now my this inner div box is centered according to the vertical and horizontal. See, this way you can centralize and div element inside the container div. So this way you can use the position and offsets as the absolute. Let's discuss next one, which is the fixed position. So what I did, I add the heading fixed. So fixed elements again removed from the normal document flow. Removed from the normal flow, and again there is no space reserved for this element. And how these elements, or we can say against which element these elements are positioned. So basically these elements are positioned, it is positioned relative to the viewport. It has some hacks, but basically these elements are positioned relative to the viewport. Let me quickly add one div element, and I give fixed content here, and I add the class fix. What I did, div with class fix, sorry, fix, border 8 pixel, solid, padding 5 pixel. So this is the div element. What I did, I add the position fixed here. So this element is now removed from the page, and when we set the offset, it's visible in the page. From bottom, let's use the bottom property. Let me give 10 pixel, and from right, give the 10 pixel. Refresh. You can see this element positioned here according to the page view. It's set here, and it does not even scroll with the scroll bar of the page. You can see when I scroll this, it does not move this fixed content. So this way you can use the position fixed, and you can make any content that does not scroll with the scroll bar of the page. Let's discuss the last position, which is the sticky. So basically sticky elements we can say are the combination of relative and fixed, right? So we can say these are basically the combination of relative and fixed. How? Let's use this. So for using this, we need to use some scroll bar in the page. So what I did, I add this position sticky before the static, so that we have the proper scroll bar sticky I add here, and here I have the proper scrolling. Now I add one div with glass stick, and here this is the sticky element. So what is the meaning of this? Let's add few CSS here. Div with stick class. Here I add the border 1 pixel solid. Padding I give 5 pixel. You can see when I scroll this, it scroll with this page. Now what I give the position sticky and give the top set from top to, let's assume 10. Now if I refresh this page, by default this element is positioned according to the normal flow, that is according to the relative position. You can see it comes from the heading and paragraph element and before the static heading. This is the normal flow. But when I scroll this page, what happens? It stick at this position. After this position, it does not scroll with the page. You can see when I scroll up more, then this element is position relative, and if I go to the offset 10 pixel from top, then this element is fixed and scroll is not affected this element. So this way you can use the sticky. For Safari, you need to give the position webkit-sticky. Then this position will work. So these are the positions. Last property, which is the clip property, how we can use this, quickly discuss that thing as well. So let's assume I add one image file here with src attribute, and I give, let me add host.png file, and I set the width 200 pixels. So this host image is added here. Now how can I use this clip property? If I want to show only the head of this horse, then we can do this by using the position absolute and clip property. Inside this, we can give these values: auto, rectangular, inherit, initial, or unset. Let's use this method, react, and it have the syntax this form: top, right, bottom, and left. We can give the values this way. Okay. So first let me give the from top 0 pixel, from right let me assume 200 pixel, 100 pixel, and 100 pixel. I give this just the random value. Refresh this. You can see from top it starts 0, from bottom it takes 200 pixel, from from bottom it take 100 pixel. This is the right 200 pixel and 100 pixel from the left. So it cut more from the left, so I just less reduce this one. 5 pixel also, 5 pixel. Okay. So now you can use only this portion of this image by use of this position absolute and the clip property. You can use a portion of the image. So these are all the CSS positions, and you can use these positions for position an HTML page, position an element inside the HTML page. So for this video, that's all. If you have any question, then put your question inside the comments and I definitely provide the answer. And if you like this video, then please like it, share it, and subscribe my channel. For now, that's it. Goodbye.